is 6:30 and it is time for the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Carson City School District Board of Trustees. So I'm calling this meeting to order. We'll begin with agenda item 1, which is adoption of the agenda as submitted for possible action.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Walker, second by trustee Casiopo. Do we have any further board discussion on the agenda item? Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. The motion is approved. And we'll move on to agenda item 2, which is the flag salute. Trustee Joe Casiopo.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we will move on to agenda item 3, which is superintendent's report for information only. Mr. Fueling.
Thank you, President Crossman. Happy New Year to everyone in the community. It's exciting to have 2024 here and keep on keeping on. To start, President Crossman and Vice President Casiopo, could you join me down below? All right. Okay. So it's been a year, and glad someone.
Hasn't been that bad of a year.
No. So we today we have much shuffling going on, but over the past year, Mrs. Crossman, Trustee Crossman, has served us amazingly well, served the community amazingly well as president of the Board of Trustees, and so we have a little thank you recognition for that time, making sure that community is represented and everything we do has its T's crossed and lowercase j's dotted.
Thank you.
I have certainly checked my stuff a bit closer after meeting Laurel. I just want to say, you know, being on the board, you learn something from everybody, and being the vice president, sitting next to the president, you learn everybody's styles and you pick up something good from everybody, and you're no exception. I've got to sit by you now for 11 years, and I appreciate everything you bring to the board, and I appreciated you in your terms as president, and I just think you did a great job, and thank you for your presidency.
Thank you. I don't know. I just want to thank you. I've said it before, but I'm so grateful to work with so many trustees who really do care about the students and who put that first always. And so it's been a pleasure to work with you guys, and I look forward to this next year as well.
Last few things. Board members, please remember that financial disclosure statements with the Secretary of State's office, they must be completed by the 15th. The 15th is a holiday, though, so I would just say by Friday, if you can get those done, please. And if you have any questions, just give me a call or send an email to Renee, and we'll get it taken care of. The 15th is holiday, so no school for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then Wednesday, the 17th, is a minimum day for the schools. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to agenda item 4, which is board reports and board member comments for information only. I see that we have a representative or 2 representatives from Carson High School, so why don't you come up and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Alex Munoz, your first school board representative.
And I'm Paulina Perez, your second school board representative.
All right. So as we all know, we all just got back from winter break today. Currently, our girls' boys basketball is at Minogue, and our students are participating in a country club dress up for that game. And currently, student council is working on Winterfest. Our assembly is January 26th. And this is our logo currently. That's based off of the video game Just Dance. And I have a rough outline of our week. Monday, January 29th is Jumanji. Students will be dressed up in camo or safari. Our lunchtime activity will be a Jumanji icon scavenger hunt. We will have multiple QR codes throughout the school that students can scan with their phones. That will ultimately lead to a big prize at the end. And our evening activity will be lawn games from 5:30 to 6:30 at Senator Square. Tuesday, January 30th, our theme is Pac-Man. It's basically like a rivalry between all of the grades. 12th grade is blue, 11th is pink, 10th is orange, and 9th is red. Our lunchtime activity will be tag in the small gym. Our evening will be a family Jeopardy from 6 to 7 at Senator Square. Wednesday, January 31st, our theme is Game of Life. And students will be dressing up as themselves when they were younger. So we will have people running around in onesies. Our lunchtime activity will be Spin to Win Trivia. Our evening event will be the FBLA Talent Show, which will be hosted here at the community center. And Thursday, February 1st, our theme will be Loteria, which is a Hispanic card game. And I feel like it's good that we're touching base with those people that don't get represented a lot. So we will be playing that game along with champurrado, which is a Mexican hot chocolate, and pan dulce in Senator Square. Our evening will also be a Loteria game and a taco truck in Senator Square from 6 to 8. Friday, February 2nd, our theme is Mafia, cops and robbers, absolutely no masks. Our lunchtime activity will be Tape a Teacher, and it will be a fundraiser for our Special Olympics. And our evening event will be Underclassmen and Crowning Movie at the Galaxy Movie Theater.
And now currently candidate voting is open, as well as Stuco had a good volunteering day with in the governor's mansion with kids that participated. And there's like a Grinch and Santa, and then this cook, she came and gave these kids like pancakes and eggs and sausage, and it was a good opportunity for these kids to come and enjoy themselves, and it was a good Christmas spirit day. And also spring sports are coming up, as well as holiday week, which was hosted during like our December, and it consisted of different days like Christmas socks or pajama day, etc. And it was a really good hit. A lot of kids participated and they seemed to enjoy it, as well as Wednesday 17th is minimum day. Thank you. Thank you.
I just have a question for you on the Jumanji. Are you doing the old Robin Williams Jumanji or the new the Rock Jumanji?
I have a feeling that both will be incorporated,
Okay.
depending on,
There might be some dance fighting going on if they do that.
I would say depending if you're a staff member or a student.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
your report.
Thank you.
We'll move on now to our report from Pioneer Academy, and I see Sadie Fullerton is here.
Good evening, members of the board. I am Sadie Fullerton, representing Pioneer Academy Student Leadership, and here are the Pioneer Academy activities. Our student spotlight from November was Caitlin Nguyen, and our student spotlight from December was Autumn Scott. And you can check out both of those articles about each of them on Carson Now. Staff at Pioneer Academy has begun a new mentoring program. Each participating staff member has chosen to work with 10 students checking in on their academic progress and general well-being on a regular basis. Our goal is to help each of our students on a personal and individual level. Counselor Carrie Jordan coordinated a celebratory dinner in December for the 15 students who completed the Rock Creek camping trip. Parents and siblings came to enjoy a video and a slideshow of the trip highlights, while each student shared what they learned from the experience of the trip. There were a lot of happy tears. Thank you to Dr. Mike Selby at Project Discovery for the partnership with Pioneer that makes this trip happen every year. The speech and debate team competed in December at Hug High School, and Maggie Uzel took 5th place in novice storytelling. So congratulations to Maggie. The team is also looking forward to the tournament at Carson High on the 19th and the 20th, and would like to invite any members of the board or any members in the audience to support both high schools by coming to judge. You can come by Friday afternoon starting at 3 to watch speech events, and Saturday morning starting at 8 to catch a debate round or 2. And free food is provided for the judges. Stephanie Walker has been nominated in Greater Nevada's Credit Union's Carson Cares campaign as a Carson City School District employee. I'm so sorry. As a Carson City School District employee who exemplified positivity in school and made a difference in their school community this past year, and won a pizza party for Pioneer students. We are happy to welcome our new PE and health teacher, Tara Thielen, this semester. Also, math teacher John Corbett has written a Donors Choose project to help provide our students with warm winter clothes. Please consider donating to his project by searching for Pioneer High School in Nevada on Donors Choose to help get these items for our students. Pioneer Leadership and Drama Club students will be hosting our second Pioneer Panther Painting Pizza and Punch fundraiser next Tuesday on January 16th. And if anyone of the board would like more information, I do have a flyer to leave with you today. And last, but certainly not least, Pioneer High School leadership would like to acknowledge that this month is School Board Appreciation Month and would like to thank each member of the board for the time and energy you've put into running our school district and supporting the staff and students in Carson City. This may be unorthodox, but I would like to ask the audience members to give our hardworking board members a round of applause. Thank you for everything you do. That concludes the Pioneer Academy activities and announcements. Would you like this flyer?
Oh, thank you. We do
Oh,
have a copy of it already.
okay.
So,
Okay. Nice.
so thank you. Thank you for your report. And also, I noticed that you're sporting Pioneer's colors
Oh, yeah.
with your hair.
Oh, yeah.
So go blue and black. Do we have I'm sorry, purple and black. Sorry, I don't know why it came out that way. I don't know. I knew it was purple and black, and then I just said blue because I'm sorry. I'm blue all the way through, but I can appreciate purple too. Okay, Mr. Varner, do you have a report or update from the Nevada Association of School Boards?
Yes, I do. First of all, I'd like to thank the student representatives for your reports tonight. Very good job. Thank you very much. For NASB, just a reminder of this Saturday's professional development training being held at the Loft Hotel in Reno. They're requesting you arrive about 8 a.m. to sign in because the classes start right at 8:30. Now, I know they're going to have coffee, but I'm not sure about a continental breakfast, so you may want to eat before you get there, just to be certain. And also I wanted to remind everybody that on February 22nd, there's a virtual workshop that's being held from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on the topic of preventing and identifying violence in schools. If you plan to attend, please let Renee know tonight or as soon, as there is a cost to the training and she needs to get that put in before long. And then also just, this is looking far out back into, up into December, but planning for the next conference is already underway and is to be held in Reno, December 6th and 7th. And that concludes my NASB report.
You know, just to add on to that, I would also encourage, Sukima sent out an invitation to everyone to attend a session that Laurel and I actually attended in person, which was really thought-provoking, and I think it kind of speaks to the future of education and what diverse accountability systems might look like, and also how the industry is really changing due to influences outside of the school. So I found it to be really worthwhile meeting. I think that I would encourage all of you to participate in that as well.
And it's virtual, correct? Okay.
I don't either.
It keeps popping up in my calendar. I'll look.
Now, let me see, I got an
It's
email about it
January
yesterday.
24th at 4. February 22nd?
Second, 22nd. From 6 to 7:30, I believe it is.
So we could, Renee, if you want, I could forward it to you. Maybe you could share with people, or we could reach out to Mrs. Kima and get her to share an invite for all the trustees if we need to.
And also, Renee, is there a link that'll be coming out for that virtual training on the 22nd?
Sorry. The only thing I have right now is just the registration form. So let me look into that, and I will, if there is any information, I'll pass that along.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a board report, Mr. Trustee Varner?
Yes, I do. For board work, Principal Roqueta would like everyone to know that on Wednesday, January 17th, they will be having their winter parent data meeting starting at 1 p.m. They hope that all families can join to hear how their students are performing or how they performed on the winter map test and what resources are available to them to help their students, and daycare will be provided. Principal Roqueta would all like everybody to mark their calendars for their first annual dance-a-thon. Should be interesting. Happening on Wednesday, February 21st, and this is a fundraiser sponsored by their wonderful PTO. In addition to the dance-a-thon, PTO is hosting a free family dance that same evening, and there's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you. And that's my report for Boardwick. And I have just a brief one for Fritz. Principal Brown would just like to encourage their archery team, and they have a wonderful archery team, and just encourage them to do as well as they have in the past. So thank you.
Are they competing at state soon? I think that comes up
They have
sometime in January.
let me see here if I can find it. I think they have something coming up before long. This is the first time I tried to use my phone for this, so I apologize. It is, that's the way I can see it. Can you read it from here? That's why I don't have to wear glasses. They do have. Can you read it too? We could all read it. Then I don't need to read this. No, they do have an archery tournament coming up on January 18th, the state archery tournament. So we wish them the best of luck.
Thank you.
my
Trustee
report.
Walker, do you have a report?
I do not have a report, so just besides appreciating Mr. Varner's well done work.
Trustee Walt, do you have a report?
No report, just encourage if you can on January 19th or 20th, consider being a judge for speech and debate for Carson High School. It is their home tournament.
Trustee Clapham, do you have a report?
I do, thank you. From Carson Middle School, Ms. Robinson wants to welcome back everybody. Volleyball season is underway. Their first home game is this Thursday. They also have after-school clubs will begin again on Tuesday, January 16th for the second semester. Parents will be receiving report cards in the mail this week, and map testing is next week. So that's the start of second semester. From Mark Twain, Miss Crookshanks, she asked me to talk about, they have a special second quarter rewards day through their MTSS program with an artist coming in, offering several different projects for kids to pick from. And that will be tomorrow. Click Bond donated some money for them to buy new playground balls, jump rope carts, tether balls, and other playground material. And she would like to thank them for their generosity. There's 58 school days until SBAC testing, and so they want to be hitting the books hard. So with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Ramirez, do you have a report?
No report this evening, but I do want to give Renee a big shout out because she's always on top of everything. Right now is an example. So Sadie, guess how we got this flyer back there? It was all Renee. So thank you so much, Renee, for everything.
Thank you. Trustee Casiopo.
Thank you. No report from Pioneer. Sadie took care of that, so as always, nice job. I too wanted to say thanks to all our student representatives. You know, I don't know if you guys realize how much we appreciate the information you provide us. Oftentimes, what you're telling us is the first time we've heard of it, so we really appreciate the time you're taking to come here and giving us some updates about your individual schools. So thanks to all of you. Wanted to remind all students about scholarships at the high school, checking out the scoop and making sure that you're prepared, whether you're going to college, whether you're looking at a trade or whatever. There's so many scholarships available to our students, and I don't think they're all taken advantage of. So it's certainly worth everybody's time to take a look at what's available, apply for it. And I think what you'll find is it usually doesn't take as much time as some people think it might take, and it's invaluable. Anyway, that's all I had. So other than saying Happy New Year to everybody and welcome to second semester.
Thank you. And Dr. Ward from Fremont Elementary School would like to wish everyone a Happy New Year. And she also really wants to let everyone know how much they appreciate their parents and the partnership that they have with their parents, because it is so essential to the work that they do at elementary schools. So I think that goes for all parents across every school, that their partnership with the schools and the teachers is so essential to the success of the students. So that concludes my report for Fremont. So we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item 5, which is discussion and possible action on election of officers of the Carson City School District Board of Trustees, including board president, vice president, and clerk for the ensuing year for possible action. So you guys have the procedure of how we do this. I will basically open up nominations for president, and then if someone would like to nominate someone, we do that. Then I ask if they accept, and if there's any other nominations. If there aren't, then we close it. If we want, we could do all 3 at once rather than vote after each. So we can go ahead and do that. So I now will open up and ask if there are any nominations for the president officer. Trustee Varner.
I would nominate Joe Casiopo for president.
Trustee Casiopo, do you accept the nomination?
I do, yes.
Okay. Do we have any further nominations? Oh, we need a second for that? Second, okay. Or do we need it for the nominations or just for the motion when we do all the officers?
As long as we have a second when the motion comes out, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have it on the nominations too.
So we have 1 nomination and no further nominations, and we have a second on that. So we'll go ahead and close that nomination, and I'll open up nominations for the position of vice president.
I'll make a motion, or I'll
Nominate.
nominate, thank you, Trustee Ramirez for vice president.
Trustee Ramirez, do you accept the nomination?
I accept, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any further nominations for the position of vice president? Seeing none, we'll close that and move on to the position of clerk. Do we have any nominations for the position of clerk?
I'll make a,
Okay, go
I'd
ahead.
like to nominate Mike Walker.
Trustee Walker, do you accept the nomination for position of clerk? Okay. Do we have any further nominations? That, okay, so we have 3 officers nominated for the 3 positions. Would someone like to make a motion on those nominations?
I move to approve Mr. Joe Cassiopo as president, Ms. Lupe Ramirez as vice president, and Mr. Mike Walker as clerk for the 2024 school year.
Yes. Okay, do we have a second? Okay, motion by trustee Waltz, second by trustee Walker. Do we have any further board discussion? Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, and I don't have a gavel, but I can symbolically pass the microphone over to you, trustee Cassiopo, President Cassiopo, to continue the rest of the board meeting, so thank you.
Thank you. And again, President Crossman, thank you very much for your year as president. I think you did a fabulous job, and we have a fabulous board, so I'm very happy to be a part of it. We're going to move on to agenda item 6, discussion and possible action on designation of the day, place, and time for regular meetings of the Carson City School District Board of Trustees for the ensuing year. This is for possible action.
I would move that we keep the second and fourth Tuesday of each month for this next year.
Would you want the time to remain at 6:30?
Yes, I'm sorry, 6:30.
Okay, and sorry, is that your motion? Okay. We have a motion and a second. We have any further discussion from the board or any discussion from the board? Seeing none, any from the public? Seeing none, do we happen to have, we don't have anything online, I would assume, do we? Okay. Okay, so we'll bring it back to the board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to item 7, discussion and possible action on the annual adoption and reaffirmation of existing bylaws and policies of the Carson City School District Board of Trustees. This again is for possible action.
Mr. President, I'll move that the Carson City School District Board of Trustees approve the adoption and reaffirmation of the existing bylaws and policies.
I second that.
Okay, we got a motion from trustee Walker, and I think somebody just beat you, Laura. Who was that Molly? Okay, second by trustee Ramirez. Any board discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, discussion and possible action on annual authorization for the Carson City School District to research, apply for, budget, report, and monitor all processes associated with the management of all federal, state, local, foundation, and private grant funding. This again is for possible action.
I move that the Carson City School District Board of Trustees designate the superintendent, associate superintendent of educational services, director of fiscal services, and the director of grants and special projects as the authorized representatives for any and all federal, state, local, foundation, and private grant funding.
A
Second.
second.
We have a motion by trustee Walker, a second by trustee Crossman. Any board discussion? Seeing none. Any public comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 9, discussion and possible action on the appointment of trustees to serve on various committees and associations, including the following for the ensuing year. This is for possible action, and the Appointments include Director of the Nevada Association of School Boards, which, sorry, let me get the, here we go. That was, currently, that's Richard Varner. Then we have the alternate director of the Nevada Association of School Boards. That's Lupe Ramirez. Member of the Carson City Parks and Recreation Committee is Trustee Waltz. And again, this is for the 2023 year. Debt Management Commission is Trustee Walker. Partnership Carson City is currently Trustee Ramirez. Legislative Liaison is myself and Trustee Crossman. Representatives to Superintendent School Naming Committee is Trustee Walker and Trustee Clapham. Representatives to Superintendent Joint Advisory Committee is currently Trustee Varner. Representative to Carson City Schools Foundation is Trustee Crossman. Representative to Student Attendance Review Board, I lost my place, is Trustee Ramirez, and Trustee Walt as an alternate. Representative on the Emergency Operations Development Committee is me, and representative on the Multi-Tiered System of Support, MTSS, District Leadership Team is Trustee Varner. So those are the appointments for last year, and everything is open for shuffling or keeping the same. Maybe we'll just, Oh.
I do believe that the position of the representative on the
Foundation.
foundation
Yeah.
is by their bylaws, the president.
Exactly, yeah, so that's a good point to cover that first. So that kind of goes with the new president, so I'll take that over, and that's fine.
Mr. President, I would invite somebody else to take over as the member of the Debt Management Commission, and then I'd like to propose to be one of the legislative liaisons, just as I'm moving into the presidency at NASB. I'll be doing that work with
Yeah.
other school districts also.
Okay, so legislative liaison will go,
I'd like to
Mike?
continue to work on that. I know it's an off year, but I would like to remain on that committee as well, the legislative liaison.
yeah, and I'm on there as well, and again, it's a quiet year, so officially I'm fine just letting you two do it, and, but I'll be, as necessary or as interesting, peek my head in and out, because I think that's interesting. Why don't we start, we've got, go back to the top, director on the Nevada Association of School Boards.
I would like to remain in that position.
Okay. Anybody else interested in that, or are we? Okay, so I'm gonna put Trustee Varner, and the alternate is Trustee Ramirez. Okay, then we have member Carson City Parks and Recreation Commission.
I would like to remain.
You want to remain on that? Okay. Trustee Waltz, anybody else interested in that, or? Okay, perfect, thank you. Yeah, how often are they meeting now? Is it once a month? Oh, the debt management?
We had 2 meetings, and the second one was during a school day where I was in another meeting, and so I just would rather have somebody that might have a little bit more flexibility with their time to attend. They don't meet very often, and so I feel like it's important we have somebody that could actually attend those meetings. They were in the afternoon.
I'd be willing.
The Trustee Walt, Molly, that was you, okay. Okay, then we have Partnership Carson City. You want to stay on that? Trustee Ramirez? Don't know what's happening tonight, but my spelling just fell apart. I'm not going to try not to spell my first name. I might mess it up. Representative to the Superintendent School Naming Committee.
This is
That's not too big of a burden?
this is a lot of work, but I'm willing to do it if you really want me to.
Okay, so Clapham and okay, representative to Superintendent's Joint Advisory Committee.
Once again, if possible, I would like to remain on that.
Okay. Representative to the Schools Foundation, that will be me. Representative to School Attendance Review Board. Okay,
And I'd like to stay as the alternate.
okay. Representative on the Emergency Operations Development Committee.
Oh, I know you're on that, but like I didn't have any other committees last year, so I'd be okay with either that one or if Mr. or the next one, multi-tiered systems of support, either committee of those. If Mr. Varner, I know he's been on that one too, so I'm just throwing my name out there for the last two.
Okay,
I wouldn't mind staying on the MTSS one. I've been to quite a few of the meetings already, and I'm kind of familiar with what they're doing, and it's quite interesting for me.
yeah. I'm happy to step down from operations and you can do that one. Okay, and then, yeah, Trustee Varner on MTSS. And I'd like to come to some of those. I haven't been able to, but I'd like to learn more about it. Okay. So we have that.
Mr. President, if
Yes, sir.
so approved, I'd like to make a motion. So I nominate Richard Varner for the Director of Nevada Association of School Boards and Lupe Ramirez for the alternate Director of Nevada Association of School Boards, Molly Walt as our representative on the Carson City Parks and Recreation Committee, Molly Walt for the member of the Debt Management Commission, Lupe Ramirez for the member on Partnership Carson City, Mike Walker and Laurel Crossman as legislative liaisons, Mike Walker and Matt Clapham as members of the Superintendent's School Naming Committee, Richard Varner as member of the Superintendent's Joint Advisory Committee, Joe Cassiopo is our representative on the Carson City Schools Foundation, Lupe Ramirez, member of the Student Attendance Review Board, and Molly Walt as the alternate, Laurel Crossman as our representative on the Emergency Operations Development Committee, and Richard Varner as our representative on the Multi-Tiered Systems of Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Walker. Do we
I'll
have a second?
second that.
Trustee Crossman, a second. Any board discussion? Any public comment on this? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Item 10, discussion and possible action on the appointment of trustees to serve as individual liaisons to schools within the Carson City School District. Again, currently we have Richard Varner representing Fritch and Bordewick Bray, Trustee Walt representing Carson High, I'm representing Pioneer, Trustee Waltz representing Empire Elementary, Lupe Ramirez is representing Seeliger and Bray Early Childhood Center, Trustee Crossman, Fremont Elementary School, Trustee Clapham, Carson Middle School, Trustee Walker, Eagle Valley Middle School, Matt Clapham, Mark Twain Elementary School. If everybody wants to stay on their schools, and just so the board knows, while there's representatives that represent each school, everybody's free to visit the schools and, you know, participate and contact the schools directly and all that stuff. So, you know, we try to keep each other informed, but it's not a territorial thing. So that being said, let's start with Fritch. Richard, are you interested in keeping?
Yes,
with
I would
that?
like to remain with both those schools.
Okay. Carson High School, Molly?
Yes, and then I would like to remain at Empire as well.
And Empire as well, okay. I'm happy staying at Pioneer. Seeliger Elementary School, Lupe, you have that, and Bray, are you?
I have enjoyed very much representing that school, but I'm also interested in learning about the middle school. So if I am able to swap
Okay.
or
Do you want
Parking.
to maybe do Eagle Valley and I'll revisit my
Is that
friends in the pirate shop?
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Fremont Elementary School, Laurel?
I would like to stay with Fremont Elementary School.
Okay. Carson Middle School, Matt? You good? Okay, and we have Mike and Lupe swapped, so we're good there. And Matt, Mark Twain Elementary School? Good? Okay, and Lupe, your Bray building? Okay. All righty, this, again, this is for possible action. Somebody want to make a motion?
Sneaks. I forget my dictorial here. Hold on. Okay. So I move that the Carson City School Board of Trustees approve the following appointment of the trustees to serve as individual liaisons to the following schools. So that would be Trustee Varner for Fritch Elementary School, Trustee Varner for Borderwick Bray Elementary School. Where did I?
Trustee
Wait,
Crossman.
no. Oh, sorry. So Trustee Crossman for Fremont Elementary School. It's in a different order.
It is, yeah.
Trustee Clapton for Mark Twain Elementary School. Trustee Walt for Empire Elementary School. Trustee Walker for Al Seeliger Elementary School. And Trustee Clapton for Carson Middle School. Trustee Ramirez for Eagle Valley Middle School. Trustee Walt for Carson High School. And Trustee Cassiopo for Pioneer Academy. And Trustee Ramirez for Bray Building. Early Childhood Center.
Second that?
We have a motion by Trustee Walt, a second by Trustee Crossman. Any board discussion on this? Seeing none. Any public comment on this? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Again, thank you, everybody. Okay, item 10, or excuse me, item 11, we have association reports. This is for discussion only. Do we have any association reports? I don't see any, so Renee didn't send anything in. Oh, that's right, that's right. So we'll move on to item 12, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Please come up. Typically, we ask you to come up, state your name. We limit public comment to 3 minutes per individual. And I think everything else was on the agenda, but let's fire away. And then it should light up green.
Hello. Oh, my name is Nasiah Perkins. My name is Emily Tran. I compete in interpretive speech events at Carson High School Speech and Debate, as well as Public Forum and Lincoln Douglas Debate. Last year, I also competed on the national level in program oral interpretation, where I discussed the often overlooked trauma and symptoms of PTSD that many, specifically Vietnamese immigrants, express after the Vietnam War and immigrating to America. Speech and debate means so much to us. I cannot express that enough. It allows us not only to improve our communication skills, but also encourages us to speak on a broad range of important issues and allows us a platform where we are heard. And our team here in Carson has alone accumulated numerous awards, and we place every tournament, if you don't mind me bragging. And last year we took a total of 6 students to compete on the national stage. And we learned so much from hearing a broad variety of voices, whether it is in our Northern Nevada circuit or on the national level. And I'm sorry to be repetitive, but
Absolutely. So I know we have been emphasizing speech and debate so much during the school board meeting, but it's so important to us to have judges. And right now, this year specifically, our team in Carson specifically is having the most people that we think are going to be making it to nationals. So if we're looking in the long run, this is going to be so important for the future. And we're going to have our home tournament in January. So if we can get judges for that, that would be so substantial.
I can't stress how important it is for us to have judges. One of our recent tournaments, we had an extreme judge shortage, and we physically could not have a semifinals round. So as you can imagine, this is very unfair for the people who are doing speech and debate because they can't put in they put in hours into their cases and into their speeches. So semifinals round is super important for the members here, which is why we want to prevent that issue and have more judges for the future. So one of our representatives will shoot out an email, which I think all of the Board of Representatives have gotten. And we also have a QR code you can scan after this meeting if anyone's interested. So please consider judging for the tournament and helping the Speech and Debate Association thrive. We really appreciate you being here and listening to us. So thank you.
Speech and debates?
The dates?
The dates, the 19th and 20th of this month. So it'll be Friday and Saturday, and you are not obligated to attend both days. If you can't make it, we completely understand. Yeah, and you don't have to attend the entire tournament either. That would be a little bit insane to ask of you guys. So if you pop in for maybe an hour or two, everything is appreciated. We thrive on community support, and that way, not only are we able to reach a broader range of audience for us to speak on issues that we care about. Oh, I'm sorry.
There's my microphone. I was going to ask a follow-up question so that you're inviting board members to work as judges, and this is also open to the community.
Of course, we had flyers, but we weren't able to bring them. So we have a flyer on our phone that out the door. We would love if you were to take a picture of it and perhaps share this with others because we need as much support as we can get. Thank you.
Okay. And then is there a contact number for people in the community or an email address for someone on where they can go to sign up if anyone is watching in the community?
Yeah, I have a link actually. It's called, let me get that for you. Okay, it's called signupgenius.com. You just have to look up our school specifically for Carson High School. And if you want to represent a different school, that's okay. You just look up their school and then the Speech and Debate Association for it.
Oh, and
Sorry, would you say that link one more time?
Signupgenius.com.
yeah, there is also an email attached to the flyer.
Okay, and it would be Carson High, if somebody just went to signupgenius.com, they would look for Carson High School Speech and Debate?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
President,
Thank you very much, Superintendent Freeling.
I just want to clarify too, if, so I'm signed up for Friday and Saturday to judge.
Okay.
But there is a training Wednesday, that Wednesday night before.
Yeah.
'Cause I've never done it before.
I don't quite have the details for the training, but okay. Sorry.
No, so on Wednesday, trainings are completely optional. You don't need any experience to judge. But if you don't want to go into the tournament blind, because I know that can be daunting, we have an optional training where we'll go over the events and help you understand how each works so you can effectively judge each.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we appreciate that. Thanks. I'm going to check my schedule. I'd like to be a part of that. Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment? Seeing none, did anybody submit anything that we need to make aware of? Okay, there is no remote public comment, so I will close public comment. Move on to item 13. This is an informational update on the Carson City School District Parent Advisory Group to include results from the 2023 Parent Engagement Survey. And this is for discussion only. Mary Prey and Megan Newman are presenting.
I'm Mary Prey, Professional Learning and Family Engagement Coordinator for Carson City School District.
Good evening, I'm Megan Newman. I'm the Re-Engagement and Attendance Specialist for Carson City School District.
So this year, we've started a Parent Engagement Advisory Committee that's made up of many of the people in the district who kind of have skin in the game for parent engagement, including Lupe has come to a couple of our meetings. And I think it spans all kinds of different, our MTSS coordinator and Project Aware, attendance specialists, and people that represent each school. This year's survey included a couple of questions specifically put to the committee by Superintendent Fueling that are questions that the board needed answered from our parents as well. So the survey did go out twice via Parent Square. It was also in both papers in Carson Now. Responded at the point when we put this together on Monday, 89 families responded, 84 in English and 5 in Spanish, as we offered the survey in both languages. So we asked to know a little bit about where their children were. The major amount of respondents for this were in elementary via the English survey, 29 families in middle and 32 families from the high school. And then our Spanish respondents were primarily they had family in both pre-K, elementary, and a small amount in secondary.
The next question that we asked is, what would you like to have more information on? And you can see the results on here, ranging from study skills all the way down to I don't want to know anything. One that we would like to point out with that nice red arrow on there is related to helping my child cope with anxiety. That one had the highest responses. As you can see going down the list, you see things like preventing vaping, family coping strategies, math skills, definitely could brush up on that myself, so I understand that. Helping my child become more confident in what they're doing in school, all the way down to at the very bottom where you can see active shooter drills. And then on the next slide, you will see the results in Spanish, and ones that we have highlighted are study skills, organizational skills, helping my child become a better reader, and then again, math strategies.
We also asked if there were any specific events that parents would like to see the district present. Family reading and math, multicultural activities were up there, but family fun activity nights, families are looking for ways to, I think, make connection into our schools in a fun and interactive way. And parenting and information classes and a community resource fair. In Spanish as well, family readings and math night, multicultural activities, family fun activities, parenting classes, and that community resource fair. Did you want to say something about that?
On this slide, you'll see the best times identified for events, and the evening continues to be the most consistent response. And then again, in Spanish, the evening continues to be the most consistent response.
The days are kind of across the board, with a smattering of families across those different days, both in English and Spanish respondents.
Here you'll see the responses to whether or not families have participated in any district-sponsored events. You'll see that 61% have said yes, 28% have said no, some maybes, I'm not too sure why the maybe, and then the pumpkin patch.
I'm wondering if the maybe is just a wondering if it was a school event rather than a district event, and thinking I went to the school but not knowing it was a district, but maybe
Yeah,
that's
I'm
just me
sure that's what it
speculating.
They weren't sure if that was considered a district-sponsored event. We thought it was interesting in the responses, the 5 responses we got in Spanish, predominantly they have not participated in a district event. The top answers for what kind of events, and I gave the list of all of the responses to you so that you have those. The top answer, of course, was parent-teacher conference, which is the biggest invitational event from our elementary schools, and I know the middle schools were looking at participating as well. Back to school nights, including open house. Holiday events were the next biggest, with craft fairs, concerts, pumpkin patch, those kinds of events. Concerts and sports events, so music, theater, those kinds of things. Fundraisers, cultural events, reading, math, STEM nights, informational nights, and then PTO, PTA.
The response to how events are advertised show that the majority of the information comes from Parent Square, which is pretty consistent from what I've seen across the board. And the same thing with our Spanish-speaking families.
So one of the questions that Superintendent Fueling wanted to make sure that we asked was, do you feel your child or children's school engages you as a partner in your children's success? So predominantly, we see that most of the respondents felt that the district is working towards partnership with our families. And though we did get some respondents who said that it happens in elementary and then tapers off into middle and secondary. You can see in Spanish as well.
Some of the barriers that were identified via the survey are work schedules, which I think that is pretty consistent. Multiple schools, so children at the high school, the middle school, elementary schools, and then having events on the same days. Communication, there was some input related to the fact that they don't often receive dates and times with enough notice to attend the events or to make accommodations to attend the events. Same with the conflicting events. That scheduling, I think, continues to be an issue. The language barrier is also something that's been discussed just in my interactions with families. The not interested in the subject matter, I find that to be interesting. And then transportation is also a consistent answer that I've heard. And then financial barriers, which I know most of our events are cost-free to families, but I think just getting the word out there being that, you know, you don't have to come here with your pockets full of cash to have a good time with your family.
So the other question was, do you feel that the district values and includes diverse perspectives and backgrounds in decision-making and planning? Overall, in response was yes, about 70%. Some said no, and then some were not sure why we were asking that question or unsure of really what we were asking for in that.
So I'm noticing on there, there's no and there's nah.
I think it's not
Do-
applicable. I'm
Oh,
pretty
okay.
sure they were trying to
It's
say
supposed to be a
and.
capital A. I was all, are people just entering their own responses?
They were, and so they can enter their own response here. And so you can see like somebody put traditional family values being more important kind of thing.
Okay.
So they did have the option to put something other. No, they survey the public and then do whatever they want. And then you can see in Spanish that 60% felt that diverse perspectives were being respected.
These are some of the suggestions that were mentioned, and I believe that these are also on the list that we provided you all.
Yes, we put all of them in bullet points, everyone in that list that I provided.
You'll see the classroom discipline suggestions for anti-bullying, need for tutoring programs, transportation ideas is something that I'm working on with the mayor right now as far as getting jack passes for families if they need help with assistance to events at the schools and things like that. Again, more communication earlier for planning purposes, parent-teacher conferences at the secondary grade level. I've heard that a lot recently. And then also the option for virtual parent-teacher conferences is something that I've been told a couple times. And then again, the language being a barrier.
So some of the ideas and comments that were put forward by families, and you have the list of all of the ones that came to us, were things like making sure that we were offering maybe workshops in some kinds of real life skills, more active ideas, so less sitting around and getting information and more active. Metal detectors, workshops for kids on coping with stress and anxiety, listening to the parents, better systems for kids who are falling behind or makeup work, more up-to-date information and including not just digital but on paper. And then a couple that said there were too many places to look for information, that there were too many apps and places to look if their kids were in elementary or high school and that kind of thing. So maybe as we're looking as a committee on how do we make it a more one-stop shop, one place where you can go for all parent engagement. And that's where the Parent and Family Engagement Advisory Committee comes in. Our next meeting is on the 29th. It's a quarterly meeting that we're going to be including the representatives from all of the schools and the committee members who have been working on all of these things to talk about these results and how can we make a more cohesive experience for all of the parents and families in our district. And that's it. Any questions?
What day was that?
It's the 29th. The secondary folks are going to be from 2:30 to 3:30, and then elementary is going to be from 3:30 to 4:30. It'll be at the Professional Development Center, and if you'd like, I can send the information to Renee and she can get it to you all.
We're allowed to go, right? Yeah?
Hmm?
We can come?
Of course, absolutely. Please, everyone is
Just
invited.
asking.
Yes.
Matt, I'm sorry to say you're not going to be able to attend.
I'll be at that meeting naming schools.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Any
Actually, I have a
questions?
question.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, one of the things I think is a strength for this district is our schools do a lot of family engagement activities. And sometimes people might not be aware of all of the opportunities that are out there. But I was noticing the small number of respondents. And so I guess my question is, how are we rolling this out? And might it be better served if maybe we make this part of like that back to school enrollment paperwork where everybody's kind of working through that process? We're much more likely to get a broad range of respondents because we have much more than 5, Spanish-speaking families in the district. And
Exactly. And I think overall, we've seen that surveys tend to be kind of problematic in that way. We put them out, we push them out, we put them on our social media. But what seems to happen is it's the ones who either have a problem or that want to respond where families are like, well, I'm good with it, right? Don't tend to pick up and respond to us. So I'd love to see us explore some options in creating the survey in a way that more families are able to respond to it, or maybe some town hall types of meetings at community PLC where parents can come. We're collecting information, attend. And we know that can also be problematic on getting people in. So I think it's going to take a variety of things as we're building forward to be able to get more input from families.
I do like the idea, Trustee Walker, of having it be part of your back to school paperwork, because a lot of times I'll get an email or I'll get the Parent Square notification and I'll be like, oh, I'll get, like, it comes through and you don't have time, so you think you'll get to it. And then other things happen and you don't get to it. So I think, like, if it's part of something that has a deadline attached to it, that would be help to have more.
on that same note is, like you're talking about the multiple apps, and I'm dealing with this at my own school, because even though we have Parent Square, but then there's also some of my teachers like to use Blooms, and then primary teachers like Dojo because they could do the points, and there's a number of reasons why, but I think it really comes down to picking a platform, because parents can't be pinging around on their phone all day when they're trying to work. I mean, that's how we lose them, I think.
Well, and I know the district has specifically chosen Parent Square, and I believe that the teachers have all been told they're supposed to use Parent Square for communication-wise. But I think also we have so many different things with Google Classroom and looking at grades on Infinite Campus, and some parents don't know how to navigate all of these different things. So another thing that the advisory committee is working on is on that website, tutorials for parents to learn how to use those platforms, some videos on how to check your child's grades in Infinite Campus. So those kids who like to not teach their parents how to use them can't hide anymore behind their parents' technology difficulties.
And I agree, and I think that, that ability to do, the online stuff and the videos is important, but also some people are just paper copy people. You know, and something just thinking out of the box, several meetings ago, we were plugging, because a lot of our students are involved in it, the Peanut Cracker. And we reached out to the local Hispanic radio station. And I haven't spoken to them, but I wonder if they'd be interested in, you know, maybe advertising some of our events. I think that might hit a lot of families that might not otherwise know that information's out there.
And it's nice, Lupe also recommended reaching out to the Spanish station. And I think it's the more inroads we can make to show that we value our Spanish-speaking families, the less we'll see that it's a barrier in inviting families and getting them in the door.
And if I could just add, so Dan and I are already working on that. We are already working and getting together with the directors from the radio station. But I want to thank you guys for starting this conversation. Thank you for doing this survey, because this is really how we include the parents and how we hear from them. And as we see already, you know, some of the things that we thought were barriers, the parents are letting us know that indeed it is a barrier, you know. So I love the energy of the committee, and I definitely want to continue participating, because you guys are doing something really good that it's a must. For student success, I think we need to have the parents on board. So thank you for all that work that you guys are doing.
Thank
you for your
you.
support.
Any other board comments? Okay, thank you again. We appreciate that very much. We're going to move on to item 14, discussion and possible action to approve a monetary incentive for early notification from administrative, certified, and classified staff of their intent to retire from the Carson City School District at the conclusion of the 2023-2024 school year, which may have a fiscal impact not to exceed $40,000 within the current budget cycle. Again, this is for possible action, and we have Dan Sadler and Superintendent Fueling.
Thank you, President Cassiopo. Okay. So just to be really clear to start off, if you've been in the district for some time, there was long ago, what seems like a very long time ago, it was actually before I got here, there was something called a VSIP. And if that term rings a bell, I want to be clear that this is not a VSIP. So VSIP back in 2012 was funds that the board had approved to encourage people to retire. What we are talking about here with this is not that sort of item. It's simply an incentive to let us know if someone is intending to retire. So it's a very, very different thing. I wanted to start with that. I know some of you weren't on the board, some of you were at that time, and those are some rough times back then when that was all going on, but that is not what this is. Mr. Sadler, in his efforts to fill positions, which he's done an outstanding job of here in his short time, as we continue to look at what our needs are and just the natural cycles of our employees and making decisions in their life to continue with us or not to, we've talked about trying to identify that process earlier, and really it gets down to looking at budget and looking at the needs of the district, looking at staffing that we have, looking at enrollment numbers, and it's not it's hard this early in the year to have a good sense of maybe exactly what the needs are or what changes might be coming. So in early conversations with Mr. Sadler, he kind of brought up this idea. So I think I will kind of defer to him to explain a little bit of the thought process and potential benefits, and then just open this up for some discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Fueling. Members of the board, Dan Sadler for the record. So last school year was the first year that we had gotten kind of ahead of hiring, and particularly with certified and looking for teachers. We hired over 70 certified staff members this school year. So going back to
I want to say last January all the way through August, we identified 70 new certified staff members that we were able to hire. And that's the highest number that we've had, I think, ever historically. But one thing that was really to our advantage to be able to fill that many positions was to get the word out there early, in particular prior to our surrounding school districts to notify, hey, we've got positions, we're open for business, and to be able to get people through that hiring process much sooner. So last school year, we opened up we have to follow internal transfer reassignment, and then we can open up for outside applicants. And that really made a significant impact on our ability to get people into the school district. And so really the thought behind supporting this would be that if somebody is already planning to retire or resign at the end of the school year, the earlier that we know that, then the earlier we're able to post that position to get through the transfer process, reassignment, and then open up for outside applicants. As we've talked about this internally, we've come up with a number of questions that we would need to answer in this conversation. First and foremost, that they would need to complete the school year in order to be awarded the incentive, so that we don't have people looking at this as, oh, here's my ticket out of here. We don't want to push anybody out the door. I mean, we've got tremendous employees, and for anybody who's listening, like, we're certainly not trying to encourage anybody to leave, especially people who are veteran educators who, like, if we can convince them to stick around for another year or two, that just benefits our entire district and certainly our students. However, it's a celebration when people are at the end of their career and they get to retirement as well. And that's just, along with attrition, that's just a natural part of the process in human resources. So supporting this really would help us identify any positions early that we could get posted. And any questions that you have, if we haven't thought through it already, we'd be happy to keep track of.
So, and if I could just add one more thing. So, just to note that within the agenda language, it says not to have, or to have a fiscal impact not to exceed $40,000. And what this actually is not adding any costs, any additional expenditures to the budget within projected vacancy savings we have from unfilled positions. It would just be reallocating some of those funds to help pay for this item. So I just wanted to make sure it was clear that there's no additional budget impact beyond what has already been approved by the board.
Thank you. So what would be the criteria? Like retirement, resignation, how many years? When are you asking them by, to have this to you?
Yeah, so what we've been discussing internally was that we would, the sooner the better. So we'd like to, if this is something that you'd be willing to support, that we would have a pretty quick turnaround on this. We had been discussing the date of February 14th as kind of the early incentive date to say, if you get this submitted prior to February 14th, then you qualify for it. They wouldn't be actually receive the incentive until the end of their contract year. So nothing would be paid out until they complete the school year. Ask your other question real quick again for me, I'm sorry.
So say, for example, retirement versus resignation.
Thank
So
you.
if a teacher put in 30 years, they give it to you on February 15th, a teacher just has 1 year, is it going to be the same?
We would treat it the same, and we did have a lot of discussion about that as well. This conversation kind of started with focused on teachers, and then it's like, well, no, this really should be for any position because we value our classified positions just as much. And matter of fact, we've struggled filling those more than we have our certified positions in recent years. So while there is a difference between a retirement and a resignation as far as this incentive, as long as they completed their school year, that they could be awarded that incentive at the completion of the school year. There was one thing I was going to add in there, but I just lost it. What we discussed. It'll come back to me.
So
I'm sorry.
I'll talk real quickly, and maybe it'll come
Yeah.
to you. So, one of the things we, as Dan was kind of researching the idea and trying to get a better understanding of it. This is not an uncommon practice in some other districts. There's different setups to it. I would say every district kind of has their unique way of doing it. But for us, I think the idea is it would be rather straightforward in that there is one date. It's kind of a drop dead date. But I mean, on our side, clearly the earlier we know, the better. However, respecting the fact that this is likely an enormous decision in someone's life, wanting to give some time so that, if it is something that one of our employees has been considering, they maybe still haven't gotten to PERS to talk through with them what this really looks like for them, that there are some weeks here that they're going to have some time to be able to go and have that conversation over at PERS to understand how this is going to impact them in retirement.
So then my third question, was then, so say that you open it up on, February 15th, you would give just a certain amount of time, right? You're not going to.
Actually, so what we'd like to
30,
do is open it, like, let's pick next Monday or Tuesday as an example, and then that we would actually wrap it up by February 14th, so that we have a small window to, and those are kind of self-imposed deadlines. I'm just putting those dates out there. We'd be certainly open to adjusting that. We want to make it feasible for people to do their homework if they need to meet with PERS or whatever it is. We certainly don't want to rush that process, but if they're already planning to leave, it may move them into that conversation a little sooner and benefit the district and be able to open the position. What I was going to refer to, you were asking about like the process. We previously, if you were retiring or resigning, required like a hand-signed note just to explain it, like I'm officially resigning or retiring from the Carson City School District, and put the dates effective on that. We transitioned that to a form this year where they indicate they're resigning or retiring, and even kind of captures a little bit of information from an exit survey on that. And when I receive that, I sign off it, and that kind of becomes official once that date is set. So we would be able to utilize the form that we currently have. It wouldn't change that process whatsoever, other than whatever date we set in the future to be eligible for this, really saying it's a black and white date, like you got to get it submitted by that date, and then not really having a flex period. I've seen some districts that have done this where they do like a sliding scale. Like if you get it in the first month, it's 1,500, you get it in the second month, it's 1,000, and it drops down to 500. Certainly that's something that we could consider. When we were talking about the proposed monetary incentive, it was kind of like, well, I don't know how many, I mean, we had 70 teachers this year, like what would we do? I think we initially talked about this number being lower, and if we put a lower number, would we then come back to the board if it went over? We've also discussed that if it was exceeding 40,000 and saying that there's more than 40 people who are actually resigning or retiring in this early notification window, that we could also do some type of prorated amount based on the number above that 40.
But the question was if it was like a 30, 60, 90, if somebody let you know within 30 days, were they going to get more of an incentive? 60 days, a little bit less, 90 days, even less than that. And then you have a drop dead after 90 days, it's nothing. And so that's what I was kind of asking if that
Correct.
would be, I guess that would be your sliding scale.
Yep. Mr. Fueling just corrected me too. We've discussed this a lot internally, but the proposal that's in front of you is not resigning. So the final draft that we submitted here is the intent to retire. So thank you for the clarification. And that makes sense now as we're talking through that, because that's where we were questioning that number. We may have more than 40 people who actually move on to other positions, but retirement would be capped at 40. So
And
thank
I
you for the
appreciate
clarification.
that clarification. I was texting Mr. Russell if the agenda doesn't say resigned, is that okay here? So I
Yeah, no, I
appreciate that it
apologize for
didn't-
the confusion. We've discussed all options for all employees, and this is where we landed. So my intent was not to confuse you there. I apologize.
Mr. President, just for the record, and so we're clear, with the way the agenda is written, it actually says retire from the district, not retire entirely. So would retiring from the district be treated, Mr. Souther, like a resignation? You're not retiring for purposes of PERS, but you're retiring from the district, you're resigning from the district. That strikes me as semantics.
I would agree that that is semantics, because we have no way to verify. If they indicate to us that they're retiring from the district, we take them on their word that that's what they're doing.
Trustee Walker, do you have a question?
No, I mean, I just thinking about it, I like the fact that you're specifying it's not an early exit. It's an early incentive, and really it saves the district a lot of time and efforts. If somebody quits at the last minute, they know they're gonna be moving over the summer. Why not take that $1,000 or whatever towards their moving expenses? And I think that really you probably would be wise to look at some of those resignations also. And I don't know if it's like you've been with the district umpteen years and you plan to leave. You know what I mean? I think there's a way, because those exits are just as hard to fill. And if they happen late in the summer, sometimes they're almost impossible to fill. And so I think you guys are on the right track. And it's something that Lyon County does. And it really seems like everybody just knows it's coming. And so if you already know you're going to be leaving, you do that and have it in there. So I think it's a good idea.
And I have a question, and probably veteran teachers know this, but I don't. So if somebody decides, you know what, yeah, I think I'm going to retire, they let you know by February 14th. And I would imagine at some point in this thing, there's some out processing that's required, but what if they change their mind? And like in March or April, they're like, for whatever reason, I don't want to retire.
As it currently stands, when they submit their resignation, we accept that and then you approve it as part of the board agenda. So I think that might be a question where we could come back and ask for somebody who submitted their resignation, if you've approved it as a board, to rescind that resignation. But that's currently the process.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Ramirez?
I think it's a really good plan. In fact, I've seen this in higher education in my previous employment, where they did something similar to that, and I found it very effective, for people that, are planning to retire. So I am ready to make a motion if no one else.
I do have a question, though. How big a problem is this actually right now of people who retire in the last minute without giving you enough time to research and do the filling of the position? Because I think most people want to do the right thing, and I think a lot of people give you plenty of notice now. And so I'm just wondering, how big a problem is it really?
I wouldn't look at it as much as how big of a problem is it. We have people all across the board as far as when they submit their retirements and resignations, right? So I think you could probably compare it to, students who turn their work in on time and some that turn it in late. You have students who, once something's assigned, they go complete it, and I think with employees, like if they know they're retiring, we have some people that go meet with PERS and they're dialed in by November of the school year that they know they're retiring. And then we have others who are intending to retire. They've got the years, they're planning on it, but they haven't taken any of those necessary steps. And so this would really be to encourage those individuals. And I don't have a hard number to say, well, we got this many late resignations or retirements last year. I could certainly go back and count those numbers, but it's enough of an issue, I guess I would say, that to explore options, and this is one option that has come up from several districts that's been effective for early notification.
And one thing I haven't heard, I know there's been some numbers kind of talked about, $1,000, $1,500, whatever. What is your recommendation for the amount of incentive? Is it $500? Is it $1,000? And also, to try to follow up on Molly's thing, is if somebody's been here 1 year versus someone who's been here 30 years, is there going to be any kind of difference in the incentive for them?
So currently what we're proposing is that it would be $1,000 per individual. And currently proposing that there is not a difference in the amount of years that you've been with the district. That's certainly something that I've seen with other school districts. There are some where you're not even eligible if you haven't been here for 10 years. But for us, it's getting that vacancy posted early is what we're after, not really imposing there's other incentives for people for longevity according to agreement, and that really wasn't part of the conversation that we had.
And I would just say, Richard, I think we're in a time that's different than times in the past, and I think it's only going to get worse for a while. We don't have enough people coming out of college to fill all these jobs we have that are opening, and so we need to be competitive and we need to know when the openings are coming in. Even somebody who's been in the district 1 year, that's still a position that needs to be filled. So, I mean, we have to get creative of some of the ways we look at these things.
I would just say too, back to your original question, Trustee Varner, just about how big is this problem? And I would never fault anyone for, thinking they're coming back in the school year and it gets to be July and they're, staring at the fireworks and just relaxing like I'm done. I think I'm really done at this point. But I think the reality is that there is a optimal hiring season. And if we get notice that someone decides to leave once summer has started, we've already missed our best opportunity to hire someone for that job. So even if it's one person, and again, it's not like this horrendous act has happened, but it really makes it difficult in terms of timing for hiring. So if this in any way helps encourage our staff to ask themselves the question, maybe they're near and like, gosh, I know I'm, maybe I'm close to my 30 years. I've never talked to PERS before. Maybe I should go talk to them and find out more about what my situation is. And that ultimately, I think, is more the intent, is just if people have it on their mind, to encourage it. If it isn't on their mind just yet and they happen to have that moment in July, then, things happen. But just trying to, I guess, encourage it a little bit earlier if possible.
I see the purpose behind it, but I guess in some ways I think that I believe that people should do the right thing and give plenty of notice. I know it doesn't always happen, and I kind of hate to pay them for doing the right thing, I guess.
I think too, it's important. So to my understanding, I don't believe Carson City Schools has ever done this before, that I'm aware of. I know, again, other districts do. And, to some extent, it's a learning experience for us to see if this does make a difference for us. If not, we can look at, historically, kind of those later in the season retirements that we find out about. Does this end up maybe reducing that as a percentage of the total number of retirees we generally have? And so this is another thing, I guess, to point out, is that the way this is written, it is only for this year. So this isn't written as an ongoing item for us to continue, but it's something for us, I think, to try out at this point that we believe would have some benefit for us going forward into next year.
Any other board comments? Trustee Crossman?
Just a comment and just a clarification, because it was in our board packet, but this amount that we are approving within the budget is coming from vacancy savings. And then my other question would be, if it is only for 1 year, I think it would be good to have a comparison, even going back to last year, to get some numbers to say, hey, how many late notifications did we receive last year? And maybe that even applies not just for retirees, but for everything, to have to compare, especially if it was to come back again. I think that would be useful information.
Absolutely.
And just to clarify, you're saying that if somebody's here for 1 year and they just resign, that's going to be treated as a retirement after that 1 year? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Russell?
Retirement from the district, not retirement. I'm going on my senior years, but retirement from the district, I think, is the same as saying resigning.
You retire after 1 year, though?
But again, I think the words in the agenda are key. It's retirement from the district, not retirement from working altogether.
Mr. Russell, but we could specify some parameters in how we make our motion, correct?
You
We're
can,
good.
it'd be, if it's an approval with certain conditions and the conditions relate to whatever parameters you guys want to put in there, I think that's fair. As long as it doesn't exceed the monetary amount that you're approving.
Okay, and I'm just like making sure I'm clear on this because I thought Mr. Fueling said that it was just for retirement, not for resignations, or did you say it was, like, I'm like, oh, I know we're,
I've
okay.
confused everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing because you say it's for retirements, and then Mr. Russell says resigning would be kind of counted as a retirement from the district, not from working.
Yeah, so I think the confusion even for myself, which I apologize for again, is that if somebody notifies us that they're retiring, we take their word on that that's what they're doing. But that could mean that they're retiring from Carson City School District and they're moving to another school district. It could mean that they're moving to Florida. We don't have any way to verify or hold them accountable to that.
I guess I'm wondering, should we maybe table this for now and at the next meeting revisit it with a little clearer explanation of exactly what this is going to be so that there isn't that ambiguity in it? Because I'd rather it be, this is what we're doing.
I would agree.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I guess my question on that would be, we would meet again in approximately 2 weeks. And with this cutoff date of February 14th, we're not giving people a whole lot of time. No, right, exactly. Like you said, it's a self-imposed deadline, so.
We could definitely add one more day.
I do, to Trustee Varner's point, and I get the fact that we're trying to fill positions. We're not looking at longevity and whatnot, but I want to make sure, and I don't think 500, 1,000, 1,500 is going to do it, but I want to avoid somebody going, I'm going to retire in a year or so anyway. Hey, Carson has an opening. I'm going to go over to Carson and pocket $1,500 and then retire. So I'd almost wonder if you have some kind of minimum, you've been here for 3 to 5 years or something. Just something for consideration. If we're going to table it and bring it back, maybe just talk through that. And I think what you guys come up with, I'll be fine, but at least I know there was some conversation about that.
And maybe some information on how many late retirements, for lack of a better term, that we had this past year. Late notice, I guess.
And isn't it 5 years to be vested into PERS to be a retired?
Really quick,
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, President Cassiopo, specific to what you had mentioned though, they would have to be a current employee for this school year in order to be eligible, right? So they couldn't come along and join the district and then receive the award that we're talking about because this is only for this school year currently. Okay.
And that's a good point. Okay, so we've had some discussion already, but somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move that we table this item for further clarification until our next board meeting.
And a second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Walker, second by Trustee Varner. Any further board discussion? Seeing none, any public comment? Yes, please. Remember, just Principal Arquette, just state your name and.
Cheryl Arquette, for the record. I just wanted to give my perspective from a building standpoint, is that most years what happens is our retirees, people that are retiring, they will give us notice ahead of time, and it's because we kind of know it's coming. And every year what kills us is May comes along, and then we get people that resign. And then they wait till the last minute. Like last year, for example, all my people that were retiring and I knew ahead of time, I was able to hire for them, and by April, maybe even March, I had those people in places. But then I had this big clump of people that retired in, say, in May, and what happened was, then I went into the summer without positions. And luckily, we had a job fair, and I was able to get some ARL candidates, but it's just a stressful thing. You spend your whole summer then trying to find people, and you're getting closer and closer to school year, and you go, okay, now I got to find my long-term subs, and what am I going to do? And so I think if you put an incentive in place for anybody that's leaving, that's going to maybe have some people that know it's coming anyway, but they're waiting till last minute to, to say, okay, let's do it in March, make that decision, and it's going to help us out tremendously. So I just want to put in my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I certainly see the benefit. And thank you for expanding on that. So no, I appreciate it. I am, we'll look forward to seeing it come back to us with a little more, a little more definition as to what we're doing. So anyway, we have a motion and a second. We've had board discussion, public comment. Do we have any further public comment? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 15, approval of the consent agenda. This is for possible action. Have a, okay, I think trustee Ramirez grabbed the second, so trustee Walt made the motion. Any board discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Item 16, informational items. This is for discussion only.
Just some informational items that I forgot in my board report, in case anyone, and I know we have a conflict with the NASB training that day, but the services for former school board member Joanna Wilson will be January 13th at 10 a.m. at the church at 411 North Solomon, if anyone is interested in that. So I just thought I'd include that.
No, thank you. That's an unfortunate conflict, so thanks for bringing that up. Okay, anything else on informational items? Seeing none. Item 17, any requests for future agenda topics? Seeing none. We'll move on to adjournment. Item 18, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.